Hey, coach, here's the thing. I know that you're dedicated to what you do, and I know that you're committed, but how committed? How dedicated? In the other video for the student athletes that goes into this dedication and commitment package, we talk about this moment where the who was the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know, they lost their first playoff game, and LeBron James, all the you know the press was talking about, well, what's he going to do? Where's he going to go? Why would he stay there? You know, and there was questions about commitment because they didn't at first succeed at what they were doing. And you know what? Our tendency as a culture is to do that very thing, right? Our tendency as a culture is to say, well, this didn't work out, so I'm just going to move on. This didn't happen the way I wanted it to, so we'll just go. My marriage didn't work out, so I'll just go on to something else. This team that I coached this year, man, they kind of sucked. You know, and it just didn't work out. I'll just move on to another school or another sport. Or, you know, sometimes that's our tendency to think that it didn't work out, so we'll just move on to something else. And that's what our culture kind of tells us. But man, what would it be like if you were totally committed, all in, everything that you've got to your marriage, to your friendships, to your team, or to your faith in the Lord? How differently would things look if you were all in? One of the verses that we share in the other video is this. I'm going to read it to you, so I'm going to look away here. But so, my dear brothers and sisters, be strong and immovable. Always work enthusiastically for the Lord, for you know that nothing you do for the Lord is ever useless. Now, I can't assume that everybody today feels like they're working for the Lord, that they're coaching for the Lord. But you know what? Paul's encouragement in 1 Corinthians 15:58 is that very thing. If you say that you trust and believe in Jesus Christ, then the Bible helps us to understand, man, no matter what we do, no matter what we put our hands to, it encourages, implores us, and almost really commands us, do it for Him and be as dedicated to it as He is to you. Now, many of us recall that, Jesus died for us, the Bible teaches us, on the cross, and went to the grave and rose 3 days later to find a way to help us have forgiveness for our sin and to have all of our screw-ups, taken care of so that we could be back in right relationship with God. That's a big deal. I mean, Jesus committed Himself all the way, if you know what I mean. Scripture also reminds us to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, and with all your soul, everything that is in you. And it also says to love your neighbor as yourself. Those are very all-encompassing, phrases. And man, that sounds like dedication. And if Jesus was dedicated enough to give His life, man, we owe some commitment and dedication there. And so then Paul reminds us in this scripture, dear brothers and sisters, be strong and immovable. Be strong and immovable. Always work enthusiastically, not begrudgingly, but enthusiastically for the Lord. For you know that nothing you do for the Lord is ever useless. Man, I hope that you're doing what you do today for the Lord, and I hope that you're giving it your all, that you are dedicated, that you are committed to your marriage, to your friendships, to your student athletes, to your work, to your job, to your church, to your community. That's a lot of dedication to spread out, I understand. But if you say that you follow God and that you believe in Jesus, then this is part of the package. Is it easy? No, it's not. But is it who we've been designed to be and the way that we should pursue? Yeah, it is. I want to encourage you today that, man, I know that sometimes you're not all in. But be all in today. How can you be all in today? I'll ask you the same questions that we ask the student athletes to just kind of think over as well. What is commitment to you? What does dedication even mean? How could you define that personally? I mean, are you a strong and immovable person in regards to your convictions? Is that true of you? Or do you kind of just go with the times and whatever anybody says, you just kind of go with the flow? I mean, what is perseverance? And in what ways do you need to be persevering right now? What are some things that you're kind of wavering on right now that maybe you need to re-up your game? Are you faithful in not giving up on your convictions? Marriage, your team, your family, your community, your faith? Does your life reflect commitment and perseverance? Man, some tough things to think about today. But you know what? When we call ourselves back to this and line ourselves up with God and His Word, we're going to do a better job at everything else that we're trying to do. Because if we're loving God with everything that's in us, He's going to show us how to do everything that He's called us to. I hope you have a great day. Man, I hope this is encouraging but challenging at the same time. So be blessed, y'all. We'll talk to you next time.